Good morning, Needham High. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. You may be seated. And here's the news for today.
Oh, good morning, Needham High. Didn't see you there. I'm Ronan Keene. Hope you all are safe and healthy. And now, without any further ado, let's go to Aiden Ward to find out about his photo tips.
This is Quarantine Photo Shoot, Part 1. Now, when it comes to picking a location, unfortunately, for the most part, we're all stuck inside in quarantine and isolated, so you're going to have to get creative with the spaces that you have in your house. Now, luckily in my room, I have two big windows that provide a lot of natural light and one light in the center on the roof. So when it comes to framing photos, I'm either going to want to do it in this corner or this corner. Now that corner's packed and I don't feel like I'm doing it, so I'm going to use this open area and corner that I have here.
Now the benefit of shooting in this corner is that I have this entire window full of light that'll fill up the floor. So that's less and less artificial light that I'll have to add in afterwards. Now that you got your spot picked out, it's time to start getting all your materials together. Now the first thing you're gonna need is a backdrop. For me, I'm using this acoustic blanket that I had, but you can use any kind of curtains or backdrops that you have around the house. After you grab your backdrop, now it's time for your subject. For this photo, it's gonna be the Needham gear that I have, plus a couple graduation caps, an N95 mask, and of course, toilet paper. Once you have all your materials together and your corner picked out, you're gonna wanna spread out the blanket or whatever you used as a backdrop to cover up anything in the background. Now with the backdrop in place, it's time to start placing your subjects. I started off by placing my sweatshirt in the center because it had the Needham Rockets logo. And then after that, I threw the first shirt that I had on the side. And you can see me messing around and placing it in a couple spots. And after that, whenever you're placing the subject, you're always going to want to take a step back and look at, see where you like one thing or maybe you don't like it there. Now for this photo, I ended up just kind of placing the sweatshirt in the center and then building everything else around it. So I threw the hat in the corner and the shirt and the couple shirts, and then I grabbed the two graduation caps after that and I started placing them on the top left. Then once I had all that surrounded, I threw the mask around, and then here's a clip of me messing around with toilet paper for probably a little bit too long. And that was what it ended up looking like. There ended up not being quite enough light in the corner, so I added an extra one on the side. When it came down to actually shooting, I knew that I was probably going to end up going with kind of a bird's eye view, top down, of my subject. So I started off by doing that, and I shot a couple horizontal and a couple vertical to make sure I had options when I was editing. After I had those first couple, I started messing around and shooting a couple from closer up and lower down just to see if I could come up with some other creative angle. After that, I grabbed my phone and I kind of duplicated each one of the shots. So I took a couple horizontal, and then I turned it and took a couple vertical, and then dropped down and did the same kind of duplicate angles that I was messing around with the camera.
That was a little bit of a behind the scenes look at a makeshift quarantine photo shoot I did just in the corner of my room. And these are a couple of the photos that I took on my phone, and then these are a couple more that I did on my camera. And they're before after is the editing. And yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Aiden. I am definitely going to be using some of those tips because quarantine is a great time to refine my photography skills. Up next, let's go to Christina Perez for another episode of Quarantine Kitchen. Let's see what she's cooking up.
Hello, I'm Christina, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make carrot cake with some lime icing. For the actual cake, you're going to need 1 1/4 cups of unsalted softened butter, 2 cups of brown sugar, 5 eggs, the zest and juice of 1 orange, 1 1/2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 cup of ground almonds, 4 ounces of chopped walnuts, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a pinch of ground cloves, a pinch of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, 10 ounces of peeled and coarsely grated carrots, and some sea salt. Then, for the icing, you'll need 4 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and the zest and juice of 2 limes. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then beat together the butter and sugar in a food processor. While the butter and the sugar were mixing, I separated my eggs into the whites and the yolks. Then I added the egg yolks to the mixer one at a time, and then added the orange zest and the orange juice. I moved the mixture into a larger bowl. If it looks like vomit, that means you're doing it right. And then I stirred in some sifted flour and baking powder. Then I coarsely chopped the walnuts and then added the almonds, walnuts, spices, and grated carrots to the mix and then mixed it all together. I whisked together the egg whites and the pinch of salt until they were stiff. You don't want it as stiff as like when you're making meringue, but you can tell it's stiff when it starts to look like this. I added the stiff egg whites into the cake mix and then gently folded it in until they were just combined. Then I added the cake mix into a cake pan. I used a non-stick one, but if you're going to use one that's not non-stick, then I recommend greasing it with butter before you add the cake mix in. Bake the cake for 50 minutes or until it's golden and risen. Once you take the cake out of the oven, leave it to cool in the pan for about 10 minutes. Then you can remove the cake from the pan and leave it to cool for at least an hour. While the cake is cooling, you can make the icing. All you have to do is mix all the ingredients together in a bowl until well combined. Ice the cake, and it's ready to serve. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, Christina. That looked delicious. I'll definitely try out that recipe. Also, if you're a senior, make sure to check out the Needham 2020 Commits Instagram page at Needham 2020 Commits.
This is Ronan Keene signing off. Wash your hands.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you all have a great weekend and that you enjoy the lovely weather.
This is Josh Tunnelman signing off. Remember to stay safe, everybody.